Hargan. And here now is how we will proceed. We will first hear from our speakers on panel 1, who will speak on the issue of cyberbullying and social media. Then there will be a short question and answer session between the commissioners and the panelists. Then panel 2 will present the remarks on youth consumption of violent entertainment, followed by a Q&A period. And finally, panel 3 will speak to the effects of press coverage on mass shootings. Just like with the other panels, we will follow that with a brief period of questions and answers. Before concluding today, the commissioners and I will make brief closing remarks. Each of the speakers will have approximately 8 minutes to speak. The light at the top of this timer will turn yellow. When you have a minute left, it will turn red when 8 minutes have elapsed. I apologize in advance if I have to ask you to wrap up your remarks to any of our presenters, but we want to ensure everyone has time to present, and we want to hear from each of you. So I'd like to first welcome our first panel to come and take your seats here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Our first speaker is Dr. Samir Hinduja. Dr. Hinduja is a professor in the School of Criminology and Criminal Justice at Florida Atlantic University and is co-director of the Cyberbullying Research Center. Dr. Hinduja.
Good afternoon to each of you. Along with my colleague, Dr. Justin Passion from the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire, I have worked to promote the positive use of technology among students through research and outreach for the last 15 years. Topics we explore in our work include a number of behaviors that mainly occur on social media. These include sexting, sextortion, digital dating abuse, digital self-harm, digital reputation issues, and cyberbullying, which I will focus on today. While I'm proud of the papers and the books we've written, I am most thankful for my time in the trenches, working with tens of thousands of students, educators, mental health professionals, law enforcement, and parents each year on these topics. So many are in need of research-informed guidance, and I know that's why we're here. Attorney General Sessions, I have some updated statistics for you. In our most recent study of a nationally representative sample of approximately 5,700 middle and high school students across America, 34% say that they have been cyberbullied during their lifetime. In addition, 12% reveal that they had cyberbullied others during their lifetime. So, that's 1/3 of youth across America indicating that they've been bullied online, and about 1 out of 10 stating they've bullied others online. We also know that more than 80% of those being cyberbullied are also being bullied at school, indicating a strong overlap. As you mentioned, research has tied experience with bullying and cyberbullying to low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, family problems, academic struggles, delinquency, school violence, and suicidal thoughts and attempts. Most important to me is how negative experiences online unnecessarily compromise the healthy flourishing of our youth at school, where they spend over 6.5 hours each day. According to our research, over 60% of the students who experienced cyberbullying stated it deeply affected their ability to learn and feel safe at school. Furthermore, 10% of students we surveyed said they skipped school at least once in the previous year because of cyberbullying. This cannot be happening. Even though states work hard to get meaningful guidance into the hands of each school district, schools across each state are often left to figure out from trial and error what sort of strategies they should put into place. We go into schools all the time, and many administrators and counselors simply are not sure what to do. In terms of programming, they're trying a variety of strategies, from random assembly speakers to random documentaries and videos, to random curricula they hear about, to random programs that capitalize on a quick emotional reaction. However, these don't seem to affect meaningful change that lasts more than a few weeks. At best, these approaches are inefficient, and at worst, they're doing more damage than good, as kids will tune out, believe we're oblivious, and feel that nothing is going to get better. Now more than ever, our efforts must be relevant, research-based, systemic, and comprehensive, instead of ad hoc and off the cuff. Allow me to share a few key recommendations. Please note, none of these are app-specific or cyber-specific, because cyberbullying is not so much a technological problem as some would believe. It is more of a social problem manifesting where we all increasingly live our lives, online. First, school climate efforts. Positive school climates are marked by shared feelings of connectedness, belongingness, emotional warmth, peer respect, morale, safety, and school spirit. In one of our recent studies, we found that in schools where students perceived a more positive school climate, there was significantly less cyberbullying, as well as less school bullying, violence, and other problem behaviors. This makes sense because most cyberbullying among youth occurs between individuals who know each other at school, not between strangers who only connect online. Specific school programming towards this end can help reduce the frequency of cyberbullying, as well as contribute to increased student attendance, participation, higher student achievement, and less disciplinary issues. Second, social norming. Social norming has to do with modifying the environment or culture within a school so that appropriate behaviors are not only encouraged, but widely perceived to be the norm. That is, schools must work to create a setting in which the responsible use of social media is just what we do around here and just how it is amongst our students. This can occur by strategically highlighting the majority of youth who do use social media in positive, constructive ways. If I told you that 12% of kids cyberbully others, you wouldn't focus on spreading that fact around your student body. Rather, you would reframe and reconceptualize that statistic and create cool and relevant messaging strategies emphasizing that the vast majority of students, 88% in this example, are using social media with integrity, discretion, and wisdom. By defining what is normal and typical among the student body, it helps induce the remainder to get on board. Third, student-led initiatives. Adults are doing a lot of good work, but it's repeatedly evident that students are the most powerful catalyst for change on their campuses and in their peer groups. They're the real experts at what it means to be a kid these days, but we don't often tap into their knowledge and experiences to help convey the right messages and set the right standards. The last thing we want is to waste time, effort, and resources on adult-led initiatives that students know would never gain any traction. Since teens are fully immersed in all things technological and social, it is crucial to enlist their assistance in promoting and celebrating digital citizenship, setting the tone and tying it into the school's identity, and determining how to get the entire student body to help make kindness go viral. Fourth, resilience. Generally speaking, resilience is the capacity to bounce back and successfully adapt in the face of adversity. Some interesting findings on this topic came out of one of our recent papers. Of those students who were cyberbullied, those with the highest levels of resilience were least likely to be fazed by it in terms of their ability to learn and their feelings of safety at school. In addition, students with high resilience who were cyberbullied were more likely to utilize pro-social responses, reporting it to the school, to the site or the app on which it occurred, changing their screen name, blocking the harasser, logging out. They believed in themselves and their ability to do something about the problem. Those with the lowest levels of resilience when cyberbullied, they did nothing. They suffered silently because they didn't know that they had agency and autonomy to control their online experience. Finally, among those students who were cyberbullied, those with higher levels of resilience were less likely to be bothered overall and less likely to get sad, angry, frustrated, fearful, or embarrassed because of it. Why does this matter? Well, in the field of criminology, research consistently demonstrates that youth who experience these negative emotions often haven't developed the positive coping skills to reconcile them, and so they end up acting out, either in self-harm or interpersonal harm or violence. The topics I've discussed today have similar implications, not just for cyberbullying, but for general student well-being and school safety. Creating and maintaining a positive school environment can reduce a host of problems because adults have better relationships with the students under their care. Setting appropriate social norms can convey the clear standard among the student body is that everyone looks out for each other no matter what. Student-led initiatives allow youth to play an enthusiastic and meaningful role in shaping the quality of their school environment. And as mentioned, resilience programming can help students discover their own ability to be overcomers and rise above the stressors that come their way, social, relational, or otherwise. In conclusion, I believe the federal government can support these efforts by providing additional personnel and funding to schools to implement these recommendations with fidelity. Second, scholars need funding to do more evaluation research to determine how well these initiatives are working and how they can be tweaked to be even more successful. Third, we need better ways to get these evolving best practices into the hands of those who need it. Fourth, we need mechanisms for accountability, not just at the school level, but at the state and federal level. This will help ensure that adequate resources are provided so that our students can thrive and our communities can flourish. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Hinduja. Appreciate your being here today.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dr. Paul Gasman. Dr. Gasman is currently the superintendent of schools for the Sioux City Community School District in Sioux City, Iowa. He was named the 2014 Iowa Superintendent of the Year. Welcome, Dr. Gasman.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to address this commission. As mentioned, my name is Dr. Paul Gasman. I've been called a lot of things, so Gasman is certainly fine. I'm honored to be the superintendent of schools for the Sioux City Community School District in Sioux City, Iowa. I'm also honored to be a husband and a father. Our district has an enrollment of nearly 15,000 students. While this district is medium-sized by national standards, we're the fourth largest in Iowa, and we have urban characteristics. We're blessed to teach our student population made up of about 67% of our students in poverty. 20% are English language learners, and we just exceed the national average of 13% of our population as students identified with special education needs. Of that group of English language learners, we have multiple home languages spoken in our district. I do not share any of these items of demography as insurmountable challenges. As a matter of fact, quite the opposite. I chose to work for this organization because of my passion to serve children from diverse backgrounds and in a community that celebrates inclusion. Sioux City is a blue-collar river town bordering Nebraska and South Dakota with a metropolitan statistical area of about 150,000 people. Sioux City has a long history of hardworking people, railroads, stockyards, and food processing, and it's a regional service hub for many neighboring communities. Members of the Sioux City Community School District and our community have worked hard to engage the national discourse on school-based bullying. From 2009 through 2011, we were intricately involved in the creation of the documentary Bully. This important work follows the lives of 5 students who faced bullying on a daily basis, and regrettably, one of those students was filmed in our schools, as our district was the only district in the nation to give these filmmakers access to create a transparent and real-time view of school-based bullying. Students must absolutely feel safe in order to have a chance to be successful in school, and at times, we all, as an entire culture, fail those students on this basic need and right. I have since participated in activities as a bully prevention advocate and speaker, such as when the film premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival. I was a panelist here at the White House screening, and I participated in a Senate field hearing on this topic. We, through our participation in this documentary, opened the door to criticism about our district and our community, but I would not change that work, as the result of our participation includes positive change in our organization. Our participation in this documentary has created some of the richest and most meaningful discussion in our community about what the entirety of our community must do to assist and support schools in our efforts to prevent bullying. Bullying is best defined as taking action to attempt to harm, intimidate, or coerce someone perceived as vulnerable to such action. Bullying is about power and control, and bullying flourishes where vulnerability thrives. Bullying is not unique to schools. Bullying occurs just about anywhere that multiple people gather, and now, as we've just heard, even online and in social media platforms. In any community, schools are mirrors of the community that they serve, and if you find schools that have significant instances of bullying, those challenges are a reflection of that community. In order to repair the challenges of bullying in schools, one must look to the greater community to consider the way in which we will prevent bullying. This speaks to my perspective that bullying is best defeated by prevention. In our case in Sioux City, our board, administration, community, and staff members align to work toward preventing bullying before it occurs, of course, in addition to reacting when it does occur. We have consistently said that we're not unique because we have bullying in our schools, but we want to become unique in Sioux City by becoming a school district that has made a difference in this arena. Today, I would like to make remarks specific to the changing nature and growing challenges of cyberbullying and the use of social media in bullying scenarios. Bullying that takes place on cell phones and other devices and through social media platforms has presented those of us who lead schools with new challenges that simply cannot be mitigated with previous solutions. We must consider new solutions specific to social media and cyberbullying and the impact on schools and communities. Certainly, we all in this room can think back to a time in our lives when we were young and potentially more vulnerable to the challenges of bullying. Some wisdom at that time shared may have been that the victims just need to become more resilient, and my colleagues spoke about that, and that it's important to be resilient and to remove yourself from the bullying. But with the growing use of digital devices and student focus on social media platforms, bullying is reaching children in more places, more negatively, and more often than at any time in our history. Certainly, even all of us in this room have been recipients of some version of cyberbullying, and while many of us have the thick skin necessary to continue our work through negative statements, students rarely have the experience or training and never have had this much contact before in history with their bullies. Bullying now follows students to where once they may have felt safe. We have also seen the challenge that people will often be far more aggressive and negative with their language on social media or through cyber means than they would in a face-to-face scenario. More often now, we deal with the challenges of a bullying situation that did not begin in school, it did not occur on school equipment or on a school activity, yet when the students get back to the school for learning, it becomes a challenge that all of us must resolve. Our district policy enables staff members to investigate, to provide discipline to bullies, and create a safety plan for students who are bullied on social media outside of school hours and days. However, there are challenges that come with our review of social media and bullying situations, as the district can only enforce a safety plan while the students are in school. Additionally, bullying that is not captured with a screenshot or fake accounts that are used for bullying cannot be traced. While the district can petition social media organizations to remove accounts that are used for bullying, social media organizations sometimes do, but they are not able to assist us in ascertaining information about account creators, limiting our ability to take action. The legislature in the state of Iowa has considered but not yet passed legislation to provide us strength in the arena of following through on challenges born on social media. We need more ability to use social media in our investigations of school-based bullying scenarios, when applicable, of course, and to take action against cyberbullies. Without that kind of support that legislation can provide, it is challenging to take action to deliver consequences to a cyberbully who began that negative action outside of school and on their own device. In Sioux City, our district is committed to providing an environment where all are treated with dignity and respect. Instances of bullying are always investigated and acted upon when we are made aware of those challenges. Anti-bullying in education in Sioux City begins in preschool and continues through graduation. We too, Madam Secretary, are a positive behavior interventions and supports district. Every elementary school in our district uses the evidence-based second step program, a curriculum shown to decrease problem behaviors and promote success as well, and to develop a sense of safety and support. In recent years, our district also uses film clips for character education in our middle schools, a program where licensed clips from popular Hollywood movies teach age-appropriate lessons about mutual respect. Every high school in our district has a group of student leaders who serve as mentors in violence prevention through an MVP program, where these MVP student leaders use lifelike scenarios to deliver programming to their peers to curb gender violence, sexual harassment, and bullying, to prevent bullying so that students know how to behave when they find themselves in a situation of bullying. We also collaborate with a company to scan all public social media data to discover potential threats, whether that's bullying-based threats or school violence threats, and they provide us with actionable alerts to discover those as they discover those negative posts. We recently added a new component to our required freshman success strategies course, where students earn recognition for appropriate digital citizenship. As a district, we ask parents and community members to be our partner in educating our youth by reporting instances of concern through an online chat tool that we provide to our community. Thank you again for the opportunity to address this commission. Know that I desire to continually improve my work to reduce the challenges of bullying in our schools and communities, and I welcome the opportunity to engage in further discourse, collaboration, and action.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gosman, and both of our panelists, really appreciate your insights shared on bullying and cyberbullying. Dr. Hinduja as a researcher and Dr. Gosman as a practitioner. We're going to now have a short time for questions and answers, and I'd like to begin with a question, I think primarily for Dr. Gosman. You've alluded to working within your community and engaging the community on helping it within the school. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? How do you involve the community, and is there a role for the community to play, an important role for the community to play in this regard?
That's correct, and thank you. As I've mentioned, this is a community-based problem, and bullying doesn't just occur in schools. It occurs in shopping malls, sporting events, just about anywhere people gather. And so it's very important to us to use those resources in the community to gather more reports. We know that only about 25% of instances of bullying are even reported to us. We can't act on that which is not reported. So we're doing more work. Our data shows that we're finding more instances of bullying. We're taking more action. Our student surveys also indicate that they now feel more resilient to stand up to bullying as a result of those community agencies coming together.
Thank you so much. I'd like to invite my fellow commissioners here to ask a question at this point.
So both of you talked about the pervasive nature of bullying and that social media is a way that exacerbates how pervasive it is. And then I talked about tools schools and communities can use to better create a resilient student body and defeat bullying before it starts. But my question goes on the opposite end of the spectrum. When do things get to the point where it's appropriate to escalate to involve law enforcement associated with bullying, and what are we doing, or do you have any insights in terms of opportunities to what would be triggers to engage law enforcement, and what tools or communication pathways could we better facilitate to make sure we're taking appropriate action?
Vast majority of bullying, cyberbullying, is not criminal. Some of it does cross over the line. For example, threats, and it involves sexually explicit material involving minors, when it's tied into stalking, etc. In those cases, we of course will also look to have some sort of relationship or liaison with local law enforcement so that they can be summoned to the scene. Plus, I would also say that as I study other forms of problems online, the statistics point out that sexting is an issue, and so law enforcement has certain level of immunity to go ahead and take that evidence and then to go through the chain of events. We want law enforcement to be involved, but we also want to make sure that they don't approach this with a fear-based mentality. They have seen the worst of the worst out there, but we need to be very supportive of our youth, pro-technology, and pro-kids when we're working this out of this issue.
We too have police enforcement and what we do. We're great partners with our police department locally and our sheriff's department. It's important we're one of the districts that has school resource officers in our buildings, and we've got to be very clear that just about everything that they do is work need not be criminal in nature. It needs to be proactive, preventative in nature, creating the proper relationships and conversations between students so that we can prevent the negative actions.
You have, Dr. Gosman, any studies that you've been able to do in your school that can show that there are certain programs that tend to reduce hostility and meanness in cyber activities? Have you got any ideas about that?
We do. We've been blessed, and I'm sorry I'm not confident this microphone's working very well, but we've been blessed with a partnership with the Waite family and the Waite Institute for Violence Prevention. The Waite family began the Gateway Computer Company some time ago, and they now are partners with our district as we work to implement programs that they have helped bring to our district. The Mentors in Violence Prevention program that I mentioned to you earlier is very important to our success, where students mentor other students in relational scenarios. That's so important because students don't always receive information from their teacher or superintendent of schools, quite likely to receive it from one another. And so when we can train those student leaders to lead other students for preventing negative relationship behavior, it's very important to us. We also have used programs like Coaching Boys into Men, indicating to why we might ask male students to be aggressive on a field of play, but not to be aggressive in a relationship. Using programs like Second Step, using programs that scan social media so that we can discover anything negative that's out there. Because again, if it's not reported to us, we just can't take action.
So thanks for sort of these discussions. I'm particularly interested in some of the discussions that you all had about the sources and the elements underlying cyberbullying. So understanding this is, I think, Dr. Induja, you had talked about the notion of connectedness and climate, this notion of sort of social alienation and isolation. How, in a sort of world of social media and digital media, which seems to kind of cut against a connectedness, at least on a sort of daily basis, how do you foresee sort of an increasingly digital media influenced world? How do you create a sense of connectedness that might reverse these instincts towards cyberbullying and all the other sort of bad behaviors? I mean, how do you undo that when it seems like everything's going the other way?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can undo it online, but I think you can bear a lot of fruit with efforts on campuses. We hear the term trusted adults. We tell our students that when they're being bullied, when they're being cyberbullied, they should go to a trusted adult for help. But I like the term askable adult. If we can just point people on every single campus who say, look, I'm an askable adult. You can come to me when you're dealing with issues in your relationships, when you're dealing with issues as it relates to your academics. At home, you can ask me how I navigated the complexities of adolescence, and I'm here for you. I think that goes a long way in terms of building meaningful adult bonds, which can then sort of serve as a buffer against the isolation individuals might experience online.
If I might add to that as well, you asked about programs that we have, and in a bullying scenario, there's always the bully, there's the victim or the victim of bullying, and there's always bystanders. And on social media, there are bystanders, always, and they seem to be more and more of them. Really work hard in our community to create a program of upstanders so that they're not just bystanding and watching bullying occur, but they actually stand up, talk to that involved and askable, I love that term, askable adult, so that the students can be a part of solving the problem, even if it's only by reporting that which they've discovered online or in person.
Yeah, because the notion of connectedness seemed to be something that was a larger concept. I mean, not just between adults and the young, but also amongst the young as well, who are, I don't know if they're ultimately the people who are going to solve that problem amongst themselves.
Could I explore a little bit more the
Sure.
notion of upstander?
Sure.
Do you recognize and acknowledge them in some way, or how do you encourage that?
Yeah, we actually do. We do that through our training program in MVP and the mentoring program that is there. We also do that as a reward system through the positive behavior interventions and supports program that we've talked about. And it sounds like you've toured a district that has that program well implemented. And so, as the name dictates, we're there to recognize positive behavior when it occurs and to acknowledge that so that students understand the value of that positive behavior moving forward.
All right. Thank you both again very, very much for being here today and for everything you've shared with us.
Thank you.
So we will now move to our next panel, and we'll give a moment to change